that. In the name.
In the name and through the power of God. In the name and through the power of God.
Sing for your neighbors.
In the name and through the power of God. In the name and through the power of God. In the name and through the power of God. In the name and through the power of God.
Let us pray.
And so we join together as we know the truth of our opening statement. And that is, there is presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotence.
And from this place, this quiet place, let's do Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Send it out to people who are not in the room, who can't be in the room. It's a blessing for those not here. Bismillah. Here we go.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
In the name and through the power.
In the name and through the power of God. In the name and through the power of God. In the name and through the power of God. In the name and through the power of God.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Good morning, early birds. Now we know who the early risers are. Just today, okay. So welcome to Seattle Unity, both in-house and online. So let's take a moment as we affirm together our mission statement, which is, we are a welcoming spiritual community thriving in the heart of Seattle, celebrating, inspiring, and deepening our individual and collective spiritual journeys. So if you have a prayer request, I invite you to type it into the chat box. And if we're in-house, the prayer box is there, but you need to do it before the second song so that we can get it to Diane and then get it here. So anyway, a couple ways to request prayer, and know that not only do we pray today, but we pray Wednesdays, and then the prayer team also blesses everyone. Before we go to our announcements, I just want to highlight that our newsletter, it just came out, and it's a great way to stay in touch with what's going on in the community. And there's Cindy McComish over there for those who are in-house if you want to sign up for it's not called a yearbook, but it's a directory. It's a lookbook, if you want to be in it. Annual, see Cindy McComish. That said, let's all stand and greet one another as we watch the announcements.
screaming as you are able. We're going to do a Karen Drucker song. Karen Drucker is one of the amazing New Thought artists that we do a lot of her work, and this one is a very fun one to play with. Hey, would you three come over to me by about 2 feet, because I'm going to feature these amazing people right here. This is Mitch, Chad, and Felix. They are you. They are you. They are congregant singers. And so this is a sort of and saying thank you, because this morning when I woke up an hour and a half early, yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, thank you for this really early morning service. And that's what this is. It's like, it's the thank you. And it's the perspective thank you. It's the thank you even if I don't particularly feel grateful to start with, because as soon as you start thanking, it gets easier and easier, and then you start thanking everything. Like, thank you for this rip in my stockings. Thank you for that cloud. Thank you for all sorts of things. But she starts with this, and it goes, thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. Yeah.
This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful.
And we do it all together.
Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
Yeah, thank you
For this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
beautiful.
This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day.
Yeah, this beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. Okay, Mitch.
Yeah, Aaron.
So can you take a verse on this? Do you know what kind of day you want to thank?
Oh yeah, I got it. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day.
Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
This colorful, this colorful, this colorful day.
This colorful, this colorful, this colorful day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
Yeah,
Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
colorful.
This colorful, this colorful, this colorful day. This colorful, this colorful, this colorful day.
All right. Hey, Chad.
Good morning, Aaron.
Can you tell us what kind of day you want to be thankful for?
I'm going to have a splendid day.
A splendid day. You're sort of foofy and hoity-toity then. Mr. Splendid Orange Shoes. People at home can't see that, but he has orange shoes. Lift him up, because they're kind of awesome.
Yes!
Teach us how.
Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day.
Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
This splendid day, this splendid day, this splendid day.
This splendid day, this splendid day, this splendid day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
Splendid.
This splendid day, this splendid day, this splendid day. Yeah. This splendid day, this splendid day, this splendid day.
Yeah. All right. Felix.
Yes, Aaron.
Would you? I just love this, because you have a super deep voice, and when you go into the mic, you go, yes. And I'm like, "Ah." All right. Can you give us one?
Yes, a wonderful day.
Wonderful. Here we go.
Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day.
Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
This wonderful, this wonderful, this wonderful day.
This wonderful, this wonderful, this wonderful day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Yeah, thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day.
Wonderful.
This wonderful, this wonderful, this wonderful day. This wonderful, this wonderful, this wonderful day.
Yes. Well done. Please be seated. All right. We're going to move into a more contemplative part of the service in a moment. So I encourage you to get comfortable wherever you're seated. there'll be a video of an actual sunrise with birds. Because it turns out sunrise isn't at 8 a.m. Not that we'd know it with the cloud cover here, right? So a simple chant we'll use to move into this contemplative space in honor of Ramadan is Allahu Allah. It's very easy. If you enjoy harmonies, you're welcome to add those in from wherever you are. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Now just the low voices. That's beautiful. Do that again if you would. And now just the high voices. Answer. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. High voices again. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Now everyone pulling together. Allahu Allah, Allahu Now all together, just humming. can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Yeah. It's gonna be bright, bright, sunshiny day. Think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of those bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. Gonna be bright, bright, sunshiny day. Gonna be bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue. Sing with me if you know this. I think I can see clearly now. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be bright, bright, sunshiny day. Gonna be bright, bright, sunshiny day.
Good morning. So John Fogerty in Center Field said, in his song Center Field said, beat the drum and hold the phone. The sun came out today. We're born again. There's new grass on the field. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play today. So are you ready to play? Are you ready to get back out again now that the weather is changing and the light is back and COVID, for the moment anyway, is receding? We'll see what happens. How would you feel about saying, put me in, coach? So it's too soon to know what the results are from the past couple of years. When I look back on the last couple of years, I wonder what its long-term effects are going to be on us. As a culture, as a society, as individuals, like what was that? How is that? And again, we don't know whether we're out of it yet, but we're still adapting and adjusting to whatever that is. And right now, some of us might feel like an old car, that you're trying to get started and it's going rah, 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 now that it's time to get back out. So it might take a little extra effort to get moving and out and about again. So yay for those of you who got up early. Your car started this morning. So opening day always signifies that there's a new beginning, that something is starting again, that the air is filled with possibility, and that anything can happen, that maybe this is the year. So we've got the ballpark just a few blocks from here. April 7th is opening day, so maybe it's something we can all walk over to the park like we did a couple of times last year. We're free to create a new life during this time. So not only is it opening day, but April 1st was the beginning of Ramadan. And it lasts from one crescent moon to the next. So the thing about a crescent moon, especially obviously a waxing crescent moon, is that it's a time for new beginnings, that it's time to start something anew, that it's a spring kind of energy. And Ramadan is a spiritual discipline, and in many ways it has kind of the same energy as Lent, right? In Lent, which we are in, the Lenten season, one of the spiritual practices is to give something up, to let something go. As a spiritual practice. And Ramadan is the same because the fasting is supposed to happen from dawn to dusk. So you can eat before the sun rises and you can eat after the sun rises, but not during the rest of the day. So it is a way to change the routine, right? It's a way to sacrifice. It's a way to let go of something. And it isn't a punishment, but it's a way to be appreciative of the good that we have in life so as not to take it for granted. So Scott Aubrey said that Ramadan is a special month of the year for over 1 billion Muslims throughout the world. It is a time for inner reflection, devotion to God, and self-control. Muslims think of it as a kind of a tune-up for their spiritual lives. Ramadan is also a time of intensive worship, reading of the Quran, giving charity, purifying one's behavior, and doing good deeds. For Muslims, Ramadan is an opportunity to gain by giving up, to prosper by going without, and to grow stronger by enduring weakness. Ramadan gives one the opportunity to observe one's habits and to practice self-discipline. Again, there's a lot of similarities between Ramadan and the Lenten season. It's as if we're saying to the universe, put me in, coach. Imagine that the coach is God, that the coach is the universe. And we're saying, let me be an instrument of healing in the world. Let me be an instrument of good in the world. Let me be an instrument of kindness and compassion in the world. So if you were going to say, put me in coach, where would you go? What are you saying yes to? If you're saying, if you say that, if you think that, what is it that you're ready to step into? How is it that you're ready to play? What needs to come out from you again? So this year we're doing the Tree of Life. So I didn't want to pass through this without stopping for a minute and looking at that metaphor, because right now it's a time to start, if not planting a garden, at least going to the nursery and start picking out your plants for the year, right? And right now, the plants need help. Like you put them in the soil, but they need good soil, they need water, they need sun. And so it's just beginning, right? They're just kind of getting started with their growing. And so on the same token, what kind of help do you need to grow? What kind of help do you need to be nurtured and to flourish once again? Because you may be like this fledgling plant that needs to be gentle. So coming back to life is not always just a straight road, right? It's not like, okay, I'm going to pick up where I left off. And an example of this, of doing a kind deed in the spirit of Ramadan and stepping out, a woman invited her dad to come and live with her and her husband. Her dad was old. He'd had some major health challenges. You know, he'd been like a logger, so he was like this big macho guy, but he was no longer a macho guy because, you know, he had had a heart attack. So she invited him to move in with her and her husband out in the country, and she said after 2 weeks she regretted it, because all he did was complain and all he did was criticize. And she said it was so bad that it started to just kind of spill over into the rest of the household, that it just started to poison the rest of the house. And she found herself fighting with her husband, and they went for counseling. And, you know, she's trying to figure out what to do because her dad seemed like he had chronic depression. So she read an article about a nursing home. And what they did with some of the people who were chronically depressed is they had them take care of a dog. So she thought, oh, I know, I'll go get him a dog. So she went to the shelter. She's looking at all these dogs, and she finally finds this pointer, this big pointer, and he's old. And she thought for some reason that's the dog that she needed to bring home. So she brought it home to her dad, and she's expecting her dad to go, oh, I got a dog, thank you. Instead, he goes, what am I supposed to do with this? If I wanted a dog, I'd go get a dog myself. I don't want it, just send it back. And so they got into a big fight, and they're just yelling at each other. And she's like, you better accept this dog because this dog is staying. And he's like, and he walks away. And she said then they come back together, and they're just glaring at each other with hatred. And the dog, meanwhile, is watching all of this. And she said all of a sudden the dog just walked over and sat in front of her dog, and he lifted up his paw. You know, pointers, or I don't know if you've ever seen them. I see them at Green Lake all the time. They're always pointing at the squirrels. And he lifted up his paw, and she said her father went from looking confused and angry to all of a sudden softening up. And he just got down on his knees, and he put his arms around the dog and just started to cry, really, to be with this dog. She said for the next 3 years, these two were inseparable. Like they went for walks together, and all of a sudden, this crabby old man became extremely soft and kind and started to meet people in the community. And they went fishing together, they did all these things together, and she said one night the dog came into her bedroom, and the dog never did that, and woke her up, and she went into the bedroom, and her father had died during the night. And she said 2 days later, so did the dog die, because it was also old. And so it's interesting to me that these two came together to heal each other at the end of their lives, the dog and the man, that they came together. And you know, it's an example of stepping forward and doing a good deed, but it's also an example of how healing can happen in ways that we don't even know, right? Who knew? I mean, the dog could have had the opposite effect. It could have been a horrible dog, but it ended up being this wonderful thing. And I kind of had that same experience in my household with my dad growing up, because I've shared my stories of my father. But we got this dachshund. I don't know where we got it from, but all of a sudden we have this dachshund. And this dachshund brought this level of peace and harmony to the house that had never been there before. Now, the whole craziness never went away 100%, but it softened incredibly, and it was due to the presence of this little her name was Shotzi, this little Shotzi dog. So how can you come back to life? Not to say that you haven't been at all, but life is calling more from us right now. Life is calling us back out. The energies are saying, hey, put me in, coach. It's time. It's time for me to play. It's time for me to go back out. So what are some of the old and or new activities that you would like to participate again in your life? And I was talking to Stephen, and he's doing a lot of martial arts. I started having to go to the gym because of my knee. I had rehab, so it's my rehab. So it's like, okay, this is my monastery in a way. And then the treat is at the end, I get to sit in the sauna and listen to all the gossip. Particularly from like these really buff guys with tattoos, you know, they're talking about how they gained a little weight during COVID and, you know, how many people got divorced during COVID. And I just sit there, I'm old enough to be all their grandmothers, and it's very interesting. Anyway, it's my reward at the end of the time. So what are some of the new or old activities that you can pick back up on? Think about those for a sec. So I'm initiating on Thursdays a zoo walk. So if you're interested, you need to email me, and I'll just tell you a little bit about it. So it's for 55 and up. So if you're under 55, just tune out for a sec. It's for the old people in the room. Anyway, you could go to the zoo for 3 months. So it starts April 1st to June 1st, I believe. I don't think it's the end of June, beginning of June. And you get a pass and a parking pass. And you can go to the zoo at 9:30 on 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and walk around the zoo for 2 hours or hang out and sip coffee for 2 hours or whatever you want to do. And it's actually great. I did it a few years ago before COVID. And the animals are awake. I know they're in cages, and that's a bummer. And you'll meet some that are like depressed and don't want to be there. But there's some that have just sort of adapted, particularly the orangutans, because they interact. And there's this one in particular who will, when we would be there, she would, I don't know if it's a, anyway, whatever, she'd have us put our ears up to the glass so she could look at our ears. And then we'd switch and put the other ear up to the glass. And she literally would like knock on the window and be like, next. And so we just sort of line up and put our ears to the glass. And it was amazing. And then one woman every week brought a bag of jewelry, and she would like pull out different necklaces and whatever. And again, the orangutan would look at it. Okay, next. Next. So it's actually quite an interesting thing to do. Anyway, I'm going to be there. I know James and Christy will be there. If you're interested, you need to email me, and you have to register with the zoo. There's a cost through the zoo for it. But I think it's a good way to get back out again, especially if you're having a trouble starting to venture out once again, right? It's an opportunity to do that. It is said that during Ramadan, that the spiritual rewards are multiplied. Helwa said that during the month of Ramadan, it is believed that God rigs this month in our favor, facilitating the turn from creation to the Creator by thinning the veils between heaven and earth. It is said that it is the month that the angels are sent to the earth, and the Spirit of God descends to our universe, embracing the world with a divine mercy that ultimately encompasses everything. So the angels are present. God rigs this month in our favor. So any activity that we can say to the universe that we're like, I'm back out. I'm here. The sun is out. So we're born again. There's new grass on the field. Let's say to the universe, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Amen.
One, two, three. Morning, Mr. Radio. Morning, little Cheerios. Morning, Sister Oreo. Did I tell you that everything is fine? My mind. Morning, Mr. Shoeshine Man, shining bright and white and tan. Baby says she loves me, and need I tell you that everything here is just fine. In my mind. Excuse me if I sing. My heart has found its way. Oh, searching high and low, and now at last I know. Morning, Mr. Golden Gate. I should walk, but I can't wait. I can't wait to set it straight. I was shaking, but now I am making it fine. In my heart will soar with love that's rare and real. My smiling face will feel every cloud, then higher still, beyond the blue until I know I can, like any man, reach out my hand and touch the face of God. Excuse me if I sing. My heart has found its way. Searching high and low, and now at last I know. Morning, Mr. Radio. Morning, little Cheerios. Morning, Sister Oreo. Did I tell you that everything here is fine? In my mind. In my mind. In my mind.
So now we come to our time in our service where we share our tithes and love offerings. And so there is a number on the screen for text to give, which is 206-350-8448. And or if you are in the room, we have the box over there on the counter. However you give, know that we are grateful. So let's bless our offering. I give willingly, joyfully, and lovingly, knowing that God is the constant source of my supply. I give with graciousness and receive with gratitude, and it is so. So before we pray for those who have requested prayer, I want to let you know, for those who are in the room, that we do have chaplains available to pray with you. That's Kathleen and Donna, and they'll be on that side of the room, and they'd be happy to pray with you following the service. Also, if you're not ready to go home yet, Diane is hosting a fellowship hour over at Starbucks, which is just 2 blocks from here at the headquarters. So that's also for people who didn't know we weren't starting at 10. So they'll have something to do when they get here. So you can meet Diane over there. So let's just take a moment to pray and to bless, knowing that each one of us is a conduit of good. Each of us is a conduit of light, and each one of us is a conduit of spirit. So we move to our hearts, and we bless Tara and Dee and Larry. We bless the Brennan family and Tara. We hold in the light Arlene and Christy. We bless and see whole and well Quinn and Anja, Becky. We hold and we bless Keith, David, Sandra, and Louise. Anyone else who comes to your mind, hold that person in your mind and heart right now. We also bless Darlene, who recently made her transition. We bless her spirit and soul as it ascends the heights. And we hold her family and Jill and siblings in the light as they adjust to life without her. We hold the Ukraine and all the people who are experiencing hardship and war right now, that there may be peace, that there may be harmony, that there may be love manifested in all areas. For we know the light of God. Am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
It is the truth. Let's sing together a closing song. This is All Is Well, and I am grateful. All is well, and now it's time to let it go. If there's someone you're standing next to who you'd like to hold hands with, get consent, and that's awesome. We're in that place. Otherwise,